Last week, we left you in suspense. Oh no! This week, join us as sunny skies and smooth sailing turn into literal storms and a subsequent stream of bad luck. But first, we are Whitney, Jonathan, Clark, Annie, and Arlo. We're a family who believes in taking chances and living a life we love. Our hearts have been longing for change, for space, for learning, for adventure, right at home. So what did we do? We sold our home without a permanent place to land. We moved into our sister's basement. We found and purchased the property that we believe will house the hopes and growth of our family for years to come. Join us as we roll up our sleeves to get ready for renovating. Watch us turn a house into a home and acres of grass into a farm. Welcome to Follow the Whisper. What a couple of days. Jonathan told me that it would be more impactful if I cried, so. I am back at the new house today, and since the last time I was talking to you and remarking on how well the first couple of days of renovation had gone, we hit a wall very quickly. You know that phrase, when it rains, it pours? Well, when it rained, it poured literally inside my house. It has been a series of events, one after the other, that were not fun, not predicted, and a bit of a headache.
What?
This is feeling very Christmas vacation.
Yeah.
Don't get stuck. Jonathan wanted to make sure that the walls that we wanted to take down were not load-bearing, but when he went up there, despite having a good feeling about it, he just did not like having all of that weight on his shoulders as far as the safety of our family and the structure of our home.
So I just came down from the attic space, and from what I can tell and the way the trusses are, it does not appear to be load-bearing in any way, but I'm gonna take one more look with my dad and just confirm that before we start tearing it apart.
His dad then went up. He was feeling maybe 75 to 85% confident. So while again, we had two wise and experienced and pretty level-headed people saying that they felt pretty good about it, it was not enough to make us feel like we were in the clear.
The other thing we found is a couple of spots where there's definitely been leaks. I don't know if they're active though. We'll need to keep an eye on that. Check it after, heavy rain. Make sure it's not damp.
And finding those weak spots was kind of the beginning of a lot of yuck. We got to watch a wall of rain approach the house, which was kind of cool, but a little scary when we're getting tornado warnings on our phones. Hindsight is 20/20, and I wish that I would have done a much better job of filming in the moment, but at the moment it was a little bit more of shock and damage control. Our area suffered a huge storm last week. We had friends and family here helping us for the evening with some of the early stages of renovation, and while they were here, the skies let loose. It quickly went from blue skies to an eerie color of black and gray. We had hail, we had high winds, we had lightning bolts right on top of us. Lily, Clark's best friend, is also not a fan of storms. So she was my weather watcher. She had an app open and she was tracking the storm and the radar the whole time. What started as just a scary storm turned out to be Jonathan shouting down to me from the attic that it was raining inside of our house.
There's leaks in the attic. Every minute, Clark's down here asking for buckets.
Is being in the attic when there are active tornado warnings coming at you on your phone the best idea? Probably not, but we needed to see what was going on up there and if there were going to be problems, and there were. They found probably 6 to 8 active leaks at various places in the roof, and we're not just talking like, a little drip here or there. We're talking drip, 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 drip. So they were up there with buckets. They were trying to collect the water in vessels instead of just letting it get down into the insulation and the ceiling. We quickly realized that we had some issues that were going to need to be fixed. Yeah. Unfortunately, apparently we have several leaks up there. Jonathan was suspicious yesterday. Today it is confirmed, and so it is looking like a new roof is now going to be a part of our budget. We're going to be renovating the entire inside of our house, and we do not want to put in the time and the dollars and the sweat and the investment if our house is not watertight and weatherproof. We called several roofers to come out and take a look. All of them, beyond a doubt, said that our roof needed to be replaced, and several of them said that they felt that a lot of the damage that they were seeing was storm related and that it was worth an insurance claim. So, in addition to knowing that we were going to have to replace our roof, which is a huge investment that we were not planning on, we also now have to go through the headache of working through insurance to see if there is any chance that any of this can be covered. The first roofer is here.
Nothing gets past you, does it, bud? Nope.
We opted not to have inspections because we wanted the house regardless of anything that it would have found. And in today's market, if you want a house and you want your offer to be competitive, you can't really do inspections. We made that choice, and we moved in here knowing that it was built 20 years ago. We knew that it was a builder's grade roof, and we were optimistic if we could get 3 to 5 more years out of the roof. That being said, we did not think that it was going to have to be something that we replaced immediately. We figured, oh, it's a rancher, you know, replacing that roof shouldn't be too expensive should we have to replace it. But it turns out that we don't just have a rancher. We have, according to everybody that has been out here, a very large rancher, especially because in addition to the home itself, we have a 3-car garage. And as you have seen from the inside tour, we have a bump out. That little area adds some extra unique dynamics to the roof. Simple? No. Affordable? No. Expensive? Yes. I'm not sure if you can see it. I'm gonna zoom in here, but if you look at the top of the roof there, that is all of the chalk markings that our roofer put up there to indicate areas that showed signs of hail damage. And then, as if the roof wasn't enough of a setback, the day after the storm, when we continued to assess and take things apart and work on demo, we found some other issues with water tightness. For one thing, it appears as though the gutters have been neglected for quite some time, and not only do they need to be resealed, and there's a lot of leaking and dripping from the gutters going on, but they were really, really clogged with debris and breakdown from the roof. And because of that, especially in the area around the bump out near Annie's bedroom, there was a trickle and a flow of water behind the gutter down onto the deck. We've discovered that the grading of the deck is not great, and instead of grading away from the house, it sort of grades to the house. So yippee, we have more to worry about. Dad was generous enough to give us the whole morning. He came over, he finished getting some flooring out of the hallway here, and he worked on Annie's room as far as getting the carpeting and the padding out of here. The unfortunate thing that came along with that is that he quickly discovered that the leaking, it extended down into her flooring, which kind of stings. And then in Clark's bedroom, we discovered that the board underneath his window at his windowsill was kind of bowed and a little bit spongy. And when we assessed that further, we found that his window is not watertight. His window, for whatever reason, is leaking into the house.
So that's problematic right there.
But those,
But
aren't
that
they,
should drain out.
they're like loopholes for, like, shouldn't they be doing that?
Screen's backwards, isn't it? This page should be.
I think I don't think they.
I mean, we'll have to get out there and see. It could just be a caulking issue.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think these are like.
It's
Class A
up.
windows.
No, they're not. But
Oh my word.
So that's part of the problem. So that
vegetation
was
in our windows.
prohibiting a seal.
When Jonathan and his dad were having a little bit of doubts as far as whether or not the walls that we want to come down can come down, we decided that the only way that we were going to have peace of mind and be able to sleep at night is if we did have somebody who specializes in this, who works in structure, come out and assess and give us their opinion. We chose to go ahead and call on the contractor that we used for our renovations in our last home. His name is Jeffrey Conrad, and if you are local to South Central Pennsylvania, we highly, highly recommend him. He was fabulous throughout our last renovation, and even though we didn't want to have to call upon him again, ultimately it has turned out to be more of a gift and more of a blessing than anything else. Not only was Jeffrey able to give us clarity and direction and a definitive answer, but he has been able to open other doors and other avenues for us that we were not anticipating.
You're gonna record.
2 things to note. Number 1, he is drinking out of a juice box and it's really cute. Number 2, for a variety of reasons, today has been a little bit stressful. Got water leaking in through our roof. We have a room that has water leaking in through the floor, and note the blue rectangle behind me. My husband, despite all of these setbacks, will show you where his priorities lay, because we might not be able to afford a TV anymore, but he has it marked out where it's gonna go. It has been a rough week, and there have been days where both Jonathan and I have been feeling a little discouraged. It stinks a little bit to feel that way so early on when we haven't even really gotten into the hard work yet, but at the end of the day, these setbacks are minimal. We made wise decisions from the beginning so that we would not get in over our heads. We chose a home that allowed us flexibility in our budget with some room to breathe and wiggle, because we didn't know what we were going to get into once we started demolition and once we really got down to those bare bones. So to go along with our crazy week of setbacks, the one thing that I neglected to tell you guys during the beach video was that I ended up somehow or another with a pretty killer armpit infection. I had like an itchy rash on one side, which wasn't too bad, but then I had a hugely enlarged lymph node that was so painful on the other side, kept me from sleeping like 2 nights, and was bad enough that I have been horrified of shaving ever since. Not kidding. So I just got some hair removal cream. We're gonna give it a go. Wish me luck. As always, there have been so many beautiful reminders as to why this absolutely 100% beyond a doubt is the right place for us, and why we are still super excited to be here, to own this place, to know that it is our home. Coming here, even in the midst of this week, when things did feel sucky and a little bit hard, the view, every time I would get out of my car and just take a deep breath and look at the view, I was like, it's gonna be okay. It's going to be better than okay. It's gonna be amazing. Just give it time and trust the process, even the setbacks. On what I would say was our mutually worst night, Jonathan and I were both feeling grumpy and just not in a great headspace. And it was that evening that some of my mom's friends stopped by unannounced and shifted the mood for us. We had a really nice surprise visit from 4 of my mom's lifelong friends. They just brought with them this sense of optimism and encouragement and love and support, and we're just so excited to see us and to see this place that we are going to turn into a home and a farm. They really lifted our spirits, and unannounced visits aren't always welcome, I guess, depending upon what you're in the midst of, but let me just tell you that this visit was like 100,000% exactly what Jonathan and I needed in that moment. He looked at me with a big smile on his face after they left and was like, man, I feel so much better. I needed that tonight. Thank you to Harry and Doug and Linda and Scott for coming to see our new home. We really appreciated you guys stopping by. so many people in our corner who are rooting for us and showing up time and time again to help us through this process, who are sounding boards when things aren't going right, and advice givers when we need some wisdom and some guidance. What we have come to realize, even in the midst of a challenging week, is that it really is all a part of the journey. The ups and the downs, and the easy parts and the difficult parts, the parts that feel like a walk in the park, and the parts that feel super, super heavy. Every piece of the puzzle brings us closer to being finished, being closer to living here and growing here and thriving here. If I look for the beauty, even in the hard parts, I can find it. Hopefully. Oh, Arlo saw me out here and is barking at me. He thinks that I'm a stranger. But we're hoping that our bad news and bad luck is going to switch here and that we're gonna have some good luck coming our way. I feel very positive and we got this. So I hinted earlier that our contractor was able to give us clarity and a definitive yes or no, and it was a green light. The walls can come down. So if you come back next week, you are going to see a completely different side of our new home, one that is wide open and bright and spacious, and I cannot wait to take those walls down and bring you along for the ride. We're so thankful that you're here. Thank you for being with us, even in a yucky week and even through some cranky moods. As your summers wind down and you make your way into new school years and new seasons, I wish you all the very best, and we will see you next week.